Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. So welcome back to Yass or Pod. Today's video is a Yass or Pass. We're basically just going to be looking through new makeup releases and saying, will I buy them or not? There's actually a ton of makeup releases coming out. I know I just posted one of these, but because we're in the time of year where everybody's coming out with their holiday collections and everybody's kind of putting out new stuff for this season, I think there is going to be an influx of products to talk about. And I'm also curious, there's a couple things I'm unsure about, so I'm actually really excited to get your guys' opinion on this stuff today. So yeah. Candle of the day is actually from a small candle company called Wicks and Tricks. This is their Believe It or Nut hazelnut coffee scented candle. These candles, they're soy candles, they're so good. They smell amazing. I've been trying to buy from smaller candle companies lately just because I think it's cool to support them. And just I feel like there's so much out there that's beyond Bath and Body Works, while I still love my champagne toast. I think this is a very cool candle and I've actually been loving burning it. It's the hazelnut and coffee, but I know they have some other shades too that I have in my little candle bucket. That's where I keep all the upcoming candles of the day, in the candle bucket under my desk. And the candle bucket, I know there's a couple more in there that I really enjoyed. I think there was a lemon scented one. So I will link their website down below. Absolutely go check it out. Support small businesses. It's great. Let's do Yass or Pass. We should get into this because we have a lot to talk about today. But I went to Trend Mood and I basically found all of the new releases that I thought were kind of interesting, holiday releases, just stuff like that. So the very first one is actually from e.l.f. Cosmetics, and this is their new Ride or Dur. I think that was a typo. There's no way it's Ride or Dur. Trend Mood, I think you have a typo. Ride or Dur, Ride or Die lip balms from e.l.f. Cosmetics. I wanted to point out that they did include, I had a little bit of a rant last Yass or Pass where I talked about how everybody just skips over fall. And really, I just think that's an absolute travesty. So they did throw in a pumpkin spice latte scent that's a sheer orange with a pumpkin spice scent. Obviously, the basic bitch that lives within me is elated. I bought the e.l.f. So Juicy lip glosses a while back, and I actually loved them. I loved the formula. I thought they worked so well. I believe these are only $5, which I think is a really great price. They have jojoba oil and vegan collagen in them. I don't really care about any of that. I just like things that make my lips feel soft. So I actually might pick up, especially the pumpkin spice latte one. I know it's kind of a gimmick and it's kind of oh, it's just pumpkin spice. But the sheen on it looks really nice and fun, and also it's only $5, so I'm okay with a $5 gimmick. I think that's reasonable. I think if I want to buy something for $5 that smells like pumpkin spice that makes me happy in these horrible times, why shouldn't I? So I really like these. I think this is a cute launch from them. And yeah, I was excited. I feel like e.l.f. has been low-key stepping it up a lot lately, and I'm very excited to see it because I'm a big e.l.f. fan, but I kind of fell off them because it felt like their packaging and just the products they were putting out weren't super relevant. But now that they're putting out a lot more stuff that actually seems a little bit more relevant and trendy, I'm way more into it. Okay, next we have this palette from Plouise. Now you guys know, if you've watched any of my videos ranting about makeup packaging, that I very strongly dislike the Plouise packaging because it is so big. It's just unnecessarily massive packaging. I literally have, I've said this before, my textbooks are smaller than this Plouise palette. It is a monster of a palette. And while the shadows inside are good and the color story is good, I never want to get it out because it's a monster and I don't want to use it because of that. So she came out, I know, recently with a green and blue version of this palette, and again, it had this monstrosity palette packaging and it made me not want to buy it, which sucked. I thought it was actually a cool color story. It looks like it's potentially in a smaller, more compact package. However, I'm personally just not at all interested in this color story. I think the reason I've loved the past two palettes from Plouise were because they were such an interesting, kind of different color story. This really gives me nothing. It gives me Morphe vibes. I don't mind a neutral palette, especially lately. I've been getting a lot more back kind of into neutral palettes, and I wear a lot of neutrals now that it's fall. I think my problem with this is the lack of variety. The entire 2 rows all the way to the end, the dark rows, really are essentially all the same color, at least via this picture. Even that 3rd row seems to have a lot of the same colors in it, and same thing with that whole middle section. It all looks so similar with the exception of that orange and that red. And again, even on the far kind of light side, everything just looks so similar. I would have preferred her formula in a smaller palette, perhaps like a 9 to 12 pan, just something that's a little bit simpler and curated instead of this like big monster palette, because I think I personally, and I know a lot more people would probably get a lot more use out of that than something that's this big and seemingly this repetitive. Obviously, this isn't the best picture, so I am hopeful that we will be able to see, you know, a better picture where maybe you can actually see the variations. I think I have big palette fatigue at this point. Next, we have the holiday palette from Clinique. This looks to be a mix between what could be highlighters and blushes depending on your skin tone. I will say I love the Clinique Pop blushes, and I haven't tried the highlighter, but I've swatched it and it does swatch pretty. But I bought one of these palettes last year. It was 3 cheek pops, and it was this like really cool toned vibe to it. It had sparkly packaging. It was really pretty, and I really just never reached for it. I think for me, and this could totally be just a me thing, so I'm really just talking myself out of buying this because I really find Clinique's packaging very aesthetically pleasing, and I do enjoy their formulas. But I think for me, I'm kind of past the phase of using anything that's more than 2 things in a pan. So like anything that's like a trio or a quad that's a face palette, I feel as though I don't reach for as much as just my single or double products. I think really it's just because I know what I'm reaching for when I reach for a single or a duo, but anything past that, I don't really remember like what's in the palette or what's there. It's obviously a really good deal financially, so like if you don't have any glowy blushes, I can attest that the formula is really good. I think just for me personally, I'm not super into face palettes anymore. And also, realistically, that yellow shade, while it might be a pretty highlighter, I have enough kind of highlighters with that tone, so I'd really only be buying it for the 2 blushes, in which case I have blushes in a similar tone. So this is one of those situations where I think this is pretty and I know that I would like it, but I just probably would not use it given my current collection. So for that reason, I felt like a shark on Shark Tank. So for that reason, I'm out. Okay, this is a face palette I don't think is cool, unless you're like a makeup artist or you do makeup on a bunch of different people. I think this is pretty much made for makeup artists. These are cream and powder stacks from Melt Cosmetics. I'm bummed because Melt has been putting out stuff not in the stack packaging, and I think that was a great move on their part. Like, I loved that, and I thought it was because Melt realized that the stack packaging sucked, and that's why they had like realized how bad it was, realized how impractical it was, and so they moved on from the stack packaging because it wasn't good. But it seems I was wrong. They've just decided to put their face products in here. I will say, I think as far as just having had a Melt stack, unless they have drastically changed the component where the magnets are stronger so it's not sliding open as much, unless they have changed that, I think those cream products are going to dry out pretty quickly. It doesn't look like they've changed it based on the picture, but maybe they have. But unless they've changed that, these cream products are going to dry out very quickly. I don't think the idea of this is horrible, especially if you can buy singles, because like if you're, like I said, if you're a makeup artist and you go through that light shade or you go through a contour shade super quick, you can just replace the single instead of having to replace the whole set. So I think in that aspect it's pretty cool. But I think as like if you're just a normal makeup wearer, I don't think this product was necessarily designed for you. Again, I guess it's kind of cool because you could like create your own custom face like trio with the 3 different things. But like I said, just purely based on packaging, I wouldn't buy these because they're incredibly difficult to store. They split open in your drawers. Like the magnets split apart, so you'll find one half of the stack on one side, one half of the stack on the other side. Unless you're somebody who stores all of your makeup in on like a tabletop where it's not going to move around at all, I don't think that this is a realistic product for you. I also know that this is going to be pretty expensive. It doesn't say the price, but yeah, not super Not super impressed with these. Not excited about that. Okay, something I am pretty excited about is Makeup by Mario is coming out with his own brand new brand. I think this brand actually seems super, super cool. I'm actually really excited. I will say I'm not obsessed with the packaging that I've seen so far from the brand. I'm kind of over, and maybe this is just me, but I think I'm kind of over the very minimalistic looking packaging like this, because to me, it doesn't feel sleek or expensive. To me, it just feels lazy. When a brand has a completely white square and then they just slapped his name on it in like Microsoft Paint, that doesn't feel like they put a lot of time and effort into something. It feels lazy to me. And also based on this packaging, it looks very similar to like the KKW packaging, which I don't like. I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I do think this collection does look kind of cheap. I wouldn't doubt that the products themselves are good, and that's only because I've been watching like Mario and following his whole journey for a while, and I do think he's a very, very talented makeup artist with a very high standard of quality for his makeup, so I don't doubt that these products are going to perform very well. But I will say the packaging looks very cheap. I mean, this looks like e.l.f. packaging, or, you know, Wet n Wild packaging, or a brand that sells their stuff for significantly less. While the packaging's not everything, when you have your eyeshadow palettes be ranging for like $48, they should have way better packaging and aesthetics and just a better vibe in general than that. That is so much money for a relatively basic palette in like cheap looking packaging. Yeah, I'm not overly impressed by this whole new brand yet, but I'll be interested to see like review videos people put up of the products. I think that could be really interesting. I know that I am going to get absolutely roasted for this. I literally want to buy the entire Pat McGrath holiday collection. Like, I am not kidding. There is not one thing in this collection that I don't want. I want all of it. Like, I want everything. Something about this collection just speaks to my absolute soul. And especially when I saw the swatches of the palette and how beautiful and transformative and gorgeous they looked, I am like sold. So I'm not gonna sit here and bash on this Pat McGrath collection because I think it looks freaking awesome. The highlighter looks amazing. The quads look amazing. The lipsticks look great. Everything about this I think is so, so good. And here's my thing. Okay, I'm buying the palette. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I want to do a tutorial with it, number one. Number two, I just freaking want it. It's so pretty. Obviously, I don't need the lip scrubs or the lip balms, whatever those are. Not gonna buy those. Probably not gonna buy any of the lipsticks, to be honest, because even though I think these are gorgeous, and I do really like the Pat McGrath lipstick formula, I have a couple of her lipsticks, and I have found that specifically the Milani Be Bold lipsticks are a very similar dupe formula-wise. The Milani ones have a little bit more luminosity than these, whereas these are a lot more matte, but it's close enough that it doesn't justify the $30 price difference between the two products. And so I think the lipsticks are really overpriced. I'm gonna buy the highlighter because I so desperately want this highlighter. I think it looks so pretty. I know that I don't need it. Really, I just want it. I think the mini sets are fine. I think they're a little expensive for what you actually get, considering they are minis, but I will say those mini lipsticks that come in this sort of bundle do last a very long time. So if you were interested in trying out the Pat McGrath formula and you wanted a few different colors, I think the minis are actually a decent way to go. And when it comes to these quads, I'm so torn because I love them, specifically the two pink ones. You guys know I live for pink eyeshadow. I love them so much, but I know that I don't like need them, and I also know they're expensive. I'm pretty sure the quads are like $65 a piece, which is quite a lot of money, especially if I'm gonna buy the palette, which is like $70. The quads are definitely a lot of money. So I think I'm gonna try to just buy one quad. I did buy the Christmas quads last year, and I do use them quite a bit, actually, especially I reach for them for toppers. I don't really use the matte shades, but I do reach for them for topper shades. So I do think I'm gonna buy one quad. Which one? I don't know yet. It's really between the two pink ones, but I think those are really beautiful as well. And I'm definitely restraining myself to only buy one because I think the whole thing's really cool. I know a lot of people were commenting on the price of the palette because obviously it has a lot more shades, but it's much cheaper than her normal palettes, which are usually $125. I will say they basically, what it came down to was she put less product in this palette. So even though you're getting more eyeshadows, you're getting less product overall. I almost think that's better. I don't know. I think it's really, really hard to pan eyeshadow palettes and to pan those things. And I know some people say it's worth it for like Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath because you're getting so much product in the pan. But frankly, I don't really care how much product I would rather get less. I would rather pay less and get less product because I don't go through eyeshadows very quickly anyway. They're so difficult to hit pan on and so difficult to get through. So I almost prefer the smaller shadows that I get. And I kind of hope she continues to make smaller eyeshadows so that way people can actually experience the formula for cheaper. One thing I am going to be looking out for is making sure that because this is a holiday collection and because it's smaller, I want to make sure that the formula itself isn't different than the more expensive palettes, because that I would hate. Too Faced is the first brand that comes to mind that does that, where they make their holiday collection palettes like really bad quality. I would be very disappointed if Pat McGrath did that, but so far I haven't seen that type of behavior from the brand, so I am really hopeful that this palette is going to be good. Setting my alarm. I'm buying the palette. I know for a fact I'm buying the palette, but everything else we'll see. I'm going to get through Anastasia's release really quick. I think the idea of a soft glam mini palette is a great idea in general. Honestly, I do. I think it's such a good idea. I think people are wanting more simple makeup. I think that's coming out with a smaller version of a very successful palette is a great idea. I think it is way too overpriced. Personally, just me, I think it's very overpriced. I would never pay $30 for this. I don't know why they price their tiny palettes at such a high markup. I don't know why they don't just make them like 20 bucks and call it a day. I feel like they would sell so much more if they didn't put such a high price tag on it. Realistically, I would honestly wait on this palette anyway, and I guarantee by like November it will be on sale for Black Friday or something. So I would wait on this one if I were you guys. I don't think this is gonna sell at full price a lot because I think it's too overpriced, but I think the idea is very good. Next we have Fenty's new Diamond Bomb. This is killing me. Fenty's out to get me. No, I bought the original Diamond Bomb, the universal one that came out 2 years ago for Christmas. And when I tell you I hated that formula, I mean it. I hated the formula. I could not pick it up on a brush. I couldn't pick it up on my fingers. I couldn't pick it up on a sponge. The formula just did not work for me. I don't know if I got a dud or what, because some people comment on my videos and they're like, oh my God, you had the problem with the highlighter too. I also had that problem. I hated it. And then other people comment and say I'm stupid and that I just didn't know how to work the product because, or I got a dud because it is their absolute favorite highlighter of all time and they love it more than anything in the world. With that information being gifted to you, it seems like this highlighter is really hit or miss depending on the person. With that being said, despite absolutely hating that formula, this color is everything. This rosé color, I think it's Rosé Rave. This color is beautiful, like a beautiful, beautiful pink highlighter. It's such a perfect ballet pink that I am so, so in love with. And I think what I'm gonna do is probably, oh, I'm not gonna go to the store. I was gonna say, oh, I'm gonna go to the store and swatch it. I guess I'm just not gonna buy it. Yeah, I guess we're just skipping this one again this year. But if I had been able to swatch it, and if I thought it was good, I would have bought it. I think it's really hit or miss with those ones. Okay, I gotta be honest, actually really love this holiday collection from Too Faced. And I hate one of the ones they came out with. I'll put a picture. I'm not even gonna talk about it. However, I think this is such a good idea. It's basically like their fall collection, honestly. It's less winter themed. This is their fall collection, but they have 4 small, nice, cohesive palettes that have actual themes, and they stuck with the theme, and they're very cute. They have a mini gingerbread spice, a salted caramel, and then they have one that's like a match themed, and I can't quite see what the other one is, but it's something like cat themed. I don't know. I think all of these are very cute. I don't think you need more than one if you're gonna buy them because there is quite a bit of overlap in the color stories, but I can't lie, I think these are really cute. I think they did a great job. I think if this is the normal Too Faced formula, like the chocolate bar or sweet peach formula, I think they're gonna do amazing for them because they're very cute. I can see these working really well. Personally, if I wasn't like against Too Faced, I would probably want one of these because I think these are so adorable. Like, I just think these are really well done. I'm proud of them. I am. I'm proud of Too Faced. They put out something that I'm actually like, you know what? hats off to you, Too Faced. I feel like this is on brand. It's trendy. People want smaller palettes that are a little bit more cohesive right now. It's got the cute tin packaging that everybody loves. Like, I think these are great. Next, we have new products from Jouer. These are blush duo sticks. I'm so hype about these. I really am. I'm getting more and more into cream blushes. I'm kind of learning. When I first got a few cream blushes, I didn't really like them because I just wasn't used to it. But now that I've been wearing them a little bit more and getting more used to, you know, some are really pigmented, some are not, kind of just getting used to the look of what they're supposed to look like, I'm actually really enjoying them. They technically work on your lips as well. So I think that's really cute. I think this is a fun idea. I love the Jouer blush formula, the powder blushes. So I'm very interested in how these compare and perform. Okay, next, Morphe did a collaboration with Madison Beer. I don't care. It's so boring. I don't know. It's like so boring. Oh man, yeah. This is technically with Morphe too, but yeah. Boring. I'm just, don't care at all. No interest in this. This was made for like her teen fans and that's it. This wasn't made for me. It's fine. Finally, let's talk Tarte, because Tarte always has these crazy out of the box, sometimes way too out of the box, way too themed holiday collections. And while I'm not sure if this is their entire holiday collection, I think this is like their collection for Macy's. I did want to talk about this because I actually think there's some good stuff here. They did the typical thing that Tarte usually does, which is taking existing products and either changing the packaging or putting them in sets that you can buy together, which like whatever. I actually, again, just to speak to kind of what Too Faced did, I think taking your big palette and making it a mini is actually a great idea. Like, I think Anastasia doing it is great. I think Too Faced doing it is great. And Tarte is also doing it with their Tartelette collection. And frankly, like, I think that's a great idea. People want smaller palettes. They want stuff that's a little bit more cohesive. They want stuff that's cheaper and more affordable. So I think having these minis of classic palettes is a great idea. And I think this little collection from Tarte is actually super, super cute. It seems like despite these being based on the Tartelette in Bloom and the Tartelette Toasted, they are still for the most part different shades, which I think is kind of cool. And they added this little Tartelette Juicy, it's a weird name, but a little Tartelette Juicy palette that's like kind of a cute purple theme that goes really nicely with the neutrals and reds. The one thing I wish is that they weren't selling these in a pack, because frankly I think it'd be cool if you could just buy the mini one that you want. Like, I think that purple one is really cute and wouldn't buy it, but like would be interested in it. But because you can only get it in the set, that's just so much makeup to be bringing in. That's really my problem in general with holiday sets, is it's just so much. Like, you're just bringing in so much at one time in one thing that it just feels a little overwhelming to me. Like, not all, if you buy all of these at once, my concern is not all of them would get used. Have a favorite palette that you gravitated towards, and inevitably one might not get the most use, especially if you do already have a decent amount of makeup. Same thing with this whole blush, bronzer, highlighter thing. I'm not inherently opposed to these. I do wish they had just made the shade range better. Feels very stupid to me that you would come out with 3 sets of face palettes like this, like these trio things, and you would not make one for like very rich skin. It doesn't make sense to me at all, like why you would just ignore that, especially given Tarte's history with not being inclusive with shades. So that was, you know, a Tarte thing. And then everything else about it, I mean, again, standard Tarte, like they have these little sets, they put all their stuff together. I see a little tiny palette. Tarte has like a million little palettes. I was looking on their website the other day and I noticed that they have like a trillion tiny little palettes that like I've never heard of in my life. I've never been so surprised to see makeup, because normally I really stay up on things and I kind of pride myself on knowing about what's out there, and I had never heard of these things like in my life at all. They have a lot of little tiny palettes, so it doesn't surprise me they have more of those in here, but I thought that was really interesting. I think overall so far what we've seen of Christmas launches, nothing has been like super bad. The one Too Faced one, I'll put the picture again, that's pretty bad, but for the most part, I would say most of these new holiday collections are not horrible. I'm not hating them. I feel like brands might actually have read the room this year, in the sense that I don't think a lot of people are buying makeup right now because of the pandemic. And also I think they know what people want, which is kind of less. I don't think we want these massive palettes anymore. I think that the tides are changing to something a little bit more cohesive and concise and small, and I think that's great. So yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think about all of these new releases down below. What are you yassing? What are you passing? And yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I am wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with a link to register to vote. That's right, you can click on that link, you can register to vote, and you can be part of your democracy. It's a super fun thing to do. Along with that will be my little social justice spotlight. Please check that out, sign petitions, do all of that stuff, and yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!